money, plus money for that team, up 3-1 in the series. I know they don't, like, no Hyman, Ekholm back. I think the Oilers are going to win tonight. So, plus 115 is a pretty good number.
Is going to win.
You do?
I do. You know why? Because they have to win. That's why. And I don't mean because they're going to be eliminated, because everything up until this point is going to be lost for them. It will be crushing to them. I think it puts a lot of things at risk, maybe even DeBoer's job. I don't know. But this, you cannot lose at home, and you cannot lose with Zach Hyman out of the lineup at home tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie Benn is in the last year of his contract. What happens there?
Yeah. And you can't lose to Edmonton in 5 games. Not this team that just traded for Rantanen and was supposed to be one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying they're going to win the series, but they can't lose at home tonight.
We got to go, but I'm going to shoot my shot tonight. Give me Jeff Skinner's first ever playoff goal tonight at plus 325.
Love that.
Yeah,
That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Tonight on Sportsnet, the Oilers and the Dallas Stars, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sportsnet and CBC. To get into that a little deeper, we got Craig Simpson joining us after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kipper and Bourne. In just mere hours, we go to Game 5, Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. To help us tee that up, let's welcome in, as always, a great friend of the show, Craig Simpson, former NHLer, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, as he gets ready. Simmer, how are you, pal?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
We're good. I just want to start where we kind of left off here, just coming to you in terms of the Dallas Stars here. Yes, it's a must-win. It's an elimination game, but for them to go out at home tonight with arguably one of the best power forwards in the game, and Zach Hyman not in the lineup, there's just no excuse for them not to extend this series. Your thoughts?
Well, I think if you've watched start to finish of this series, it's kind of been a little bit puzzling. I just haven't felt that Dallas is really at any point other than maybe, the huge comeback in the third period on home ice in Game 3. But, they have not been a team that looks like they've gotten to their game at the level that they want. I know Pete DeBoer keeps saying, I think we're improving, we're getting better. But to me, guys, they've been the second best team throughout this series. The series probably is where it should be. And, given the third period collapse by Edmonton in that one, it might have been, Game 1. It might have been one that Edmonton should be done by now. So I think the challenge is there. And the one thing about teams, guys, is it's hard to knock them out. It's hard to knock them out at home. Guys have huge pride. They had huge expectations. I think they felt that they were probably going to be the better team maybe coming in to this one. So by no means is this an easy given that Edmonton can close it out. But quite honestly, Edmonton has looked like a team that's destined or at least determined to make that possible.
Simmer, the thing I can't make sense of with this Oilers team, looking as consistently good as they have in dispatching very credible opponents, is they don't seem to be making those glaring mistakes. And I thought watching the Oilers at times this year, it's like, yeah, they're good. They're quite good. But like Bouchard's going to make some mistakes, or Wallman might, or Klingberg might, or whoever might on the back end. I just don't know where those have gone. How has this team managed to be so consistently solid with some guys who typically might make a couple oopsies?
Well, I think they're just, quite frankly, it's experience. The core and even the periphery guys have been through the experience last year, and they realized those mistakes cost you. Those little mistakes early, or a blind pass. I think I did a replay in it must have been Game 3 where Janmark, one goal game, was behind the net in the offensive zone, battling hard for the puck, had a couple of chances where, maybe Game 45 you throw it blind to the middle. There's a real mindset of these guys knowing what's the right play, what's the safe play, and, what play will not get us in trouble. And I'm really impressed collectively This team is a mature team that got their heart ripped out last year, that has spent all year not so much worried about, how great are we in the regular season, but the opportunity, and especially after losing the first 2 games of the playoffs in Los Angeles, it's like, oh no, we're not letting this happen. And this 11-2 run, Justin, has looked a lot like what you've been talking about. A team that doesn't make mistakes, a team that plays calm under pressure, a team that finds a way to generate offense, even though they're playing defensively. I just was listening to a clip from Matt Duchene saying, we've had lots of pushes in their offensive zone and a team that we've been pressuring and getting good chances. But this Edmonton team is one that can defend for 45 seconds in their zone and bang, 8 seconds later, it's been in our net. And that really has been the story of the way that this Oiler team collectively has played. And quite frankly, it's been impressive.
Simmer, there you get to defend a little stronger. Matthias Ekholm set to join again, and no one would ever sit there and say that he shouldn't come back in the lineup. We know he's arguably their best guy, but is there a danger of upsetting the rhythm right now on the Edmonton Oilers on the back end? Is there a risk of that at all?
I think you probably saw that a little bit in Game 4, and my gut said that Ekholm probably could have played in Game 4, maybe. It's only 2 days later now, and he's back in. But I do think, we've talked at great length. Troy Stetcher has played so well in that role, and his 6 games that he's played have been excellent. And so it's hard for a coach to take a guy out. I think it might have been the plan, had Hyman not got hurt, to have 11-7 here in Dallas. Give Ekholm those extra 2 days. You don't really want to take Stetcher out because of the way that he's played and the continuity that the D has had. But I just think with Hyman out, 11-7's not nearly as attractive because you don't have another, guy like Hyman that can play 21, 22 minutes. So I'm sure it's a tough call for Chris Knoblauch, but Kip, that's probably my feeling that, he was really close to playing in Game 4. They just bought the extra time and probably weren't going to take Stetcher out of the lineup had Hyman not got hurt.
So remember, we had Jason Greger on yesterday, and he was talking about Mikko Rantanen's postseason, and he said that Mikko Rantanen has 17 of his points in 5 games in the playoffs, and otherwise it hasn't been, entirely red hot. What have you made of his performance with the Stars?
Yeah, inconsistent. I think that's kind of been, to the guy's credit, what a year he's had, right? Like, you talk about being all over the map and having to deal with, the mental part of the game. I don't know what his family situation is, but that had to be such upheaval. And I think his playoffs has kind of looked like that. First 4 games of the playoffs, 1 assist. They were 2-2. And then, as you said, he just blew up in those critical games later in the Colorado series and then early in the series against Winnipeg. Had 9 goals and 18 points in 7 games, and they were 5-2. Well, now, the last 6 games, he's got 2 assists, and they're 2-4. So I think it does go hand in hand with the fortunes of the Dallas Stars. And, what a tough one for Pete DeBoer, too, because it's not like a guy that you've had forever, that intricately what his personality is like, what he needs to get you driven. So I think it's been a hard coach, don't you think, for Pete DeBoer in terms of, do I coddle this guy right now? Do I push him? I know the lengths that he can play and the excellence he's had, but it's been inconsistent. And I don't think there's any question. Your earlier comment about Dallas not going out easily, if he's not playing an impactful part, I don't see any way that they can keep this thing going. And that's kind of been a little hit or miss in the last 6 games, the way he's played.
Oh, I listened. The whole lineup outside of Rantanen has been miss a lot. And I just look at this lineup and I'm like, who is there to really give Rantanen some support here? I think they've got good hockey players, but how great they are or how much they've risen in the playoffs must be a little bit of a disappointment, from Hintz to Robertson to, and I'm not sure where Matt Duchene is in all of this. And we like Jamie Benn, but Jamie Benn's on the 17th hole right now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this lineup isn't what we made it out to be.
No, and I think that's probably 2 series in a row against Edmonton that's been the narrative. Like last year, it was the same thing. Better goaltending in Dallas, better depth in Dallas. You know, okay, special teams pretty good for Edmonton. That series showed better depth for the for the Edmonton Oilers. A better Stuart Skinner, 922 compared to Ottinger's 901 last year. Well, you look at this year, I mean, it's not even close. As Ottinger's 869, Skinner 939. You know, they flipped the script again. And I just think that's the challenge when you get into these specific matchups. There's only 3 teams left in the NHL that are still playing. And, you know, it comes down to a specific matchup at a specific time. And quite frankly, both years, I think the Dallas Stars went in feeling like they were a better team and a deeper team, and they haven't proven it. You know, the top guys just have not risen to the level of the entire team, I think, the way that Edmonton's played. I think for Pete DeBoer going out now, you got to find a way. I think you put Wyatt Johnson with Rantanen. You know, Johnson had 10 goals last year. You got to find a way to spark a kid who's still young, who's still, you know, learning the game at this intense of a level, but he's got that ability. He's got to play with a little bit of flair. He's got to play with some confidence. They